Hello world, Maura here with Asset Management Visionaries Shaping Tomorrow. We have a special guest, Terrence O'Hanlon. Stay tuned. Now, we want to touch base about you co-author a book, 10 Rights on Asset Management. Yes. Many people in the audience have read the book, have glanced at the book. Give us a little bit an insight on what to expect on 10 Rights.
Well, I suppose if there was anything I was the proudest of that book, I think it's accessible because it's of its simplicity. And you know, that's not my style, but Ramesh Gulati, my co-author, is really good at that. And what it basically does is it looks at the way an asset gets created, the way an asset gets operated, maintained, and then ultimately decommissioned. And so you could say that's the asset management across these life cycles. And so it just basically explains how we can inject value and function in the specification phase, in the design phase, in the purchasing phase, in the build and create phase, in the commission phase, in the operate phase, in the maintain phase. So, you know, having that thread of value and that thread of function go across those asset life cycles. So it explains that concept, and then it explains how to do it in each one of those asset life cycle phases. And then it gives you a set of questions or almost a mini workshop that you can use to check your own company's activities to see how you're doing in those various asset life cycle phases.
Clear. What do you think is missing in organizations to achieve asset management?
There's so many things to unpack with that, but I think the primary thing that we see is that I don't want to say that organizations disempower people, but let's take the opposite of that. They may not empower people. So you can call that disempowerment if you want, but in other words, if you're not empowering somebody, even if you're just keeping them at neutral, there's this debate about the word empowerment. If I have power, and then I empower you, am I giving up my power? And the answer is no, you're not giving up your power by giving somebody else power. You want everybody to be powered as a leader. What's a leader? Somebody who can help other people, machines and gadgets do a better job, or somebody who can really drive to a new future. But the problem, especially in the United States, but all over the world, when you say leadership, they think the CEO is the leadership. And of course, in one sense of the word, that's where some leadership is. But there are CEOs who clearly are not good leaders. So leadership can be at the technician level. It can be at the floor sweeper level. It can be at the supervisor level. It can be at the maintenance manager level. It can be at the maintenance planner level. In fact, a maintenance planner or maintenance scheduler would certainly tell you that they know exactly who the leaders are because they're only going to give that very important job to a technician who they consider to be a leader. So sometimes we don't call them out as leaders, but we do. We want to center every single technical thing we're talking about, every business process we're talking about on empowered leadership by the individual. Because I can look at the individual and say, the change starts with you looking in the mirror and deciding you're going to change and making a stand that you're going to go from here to here. And that's really what it's all about. And then when I do that, you might do that, and then somebody else might do that, and we get a movement going. And we get a movement going towards that asset management value and the reliability function and the maintenance safety. It's really wonderful when it's a Buckminster Fuller calls it a trim tab. A leverage point, you could say, like on a landing flap on a plane, or there's a rudder on a boat, but then there's a little rudder on the rudder, and that's called a trim tab. And when if you tried to turn the rudder, it would be very difficult with all the pressure on both sides. But when you turn the little trim tab rudder, it creates a low pressure flow, and that makes it very easy to turn the big rudder. And then that makes the ship or the boat easier to turn. So why am I using that metaphor? Because if each one of us, if we can kind of get rid of the nonsense the BS and the things that don't work and the kind of interpersonal, statements and things of that nature. And we can focus on, what's so, and give our word that we're going to do something. And when I say give our word, if I'm a CEO, that whether I explicitly gave my word or not, there's certain responsibilities that come with being a CEO. There's certain responsibilities of being a mother. There's certain responsibilities of being a father. There's certain responsibilities of being a neighbor. There's certain responsibilities of being a U.S. citizen or a citizen of any country. So, that's integrity. If you're driving down the road and you're breaking the speed limit, that's out of integrity. Now, you could say it's no big deal, but we think there's a direct connection between your word and your performance. And so we were very sensitive about it. But we were born into this vehicle called human. And human was here before I was born, and human will be here when I depart. And human comes with integrity breaking. So human comes with integrity breaking. Doesn't matter whether you think you're Yoda or what, but you're gonna break integrity at some point in your life, and many points in your life. And you need a mechanism to clean up the integrity break that you did. And so it's not when people are so shocked about it, oh, I don't do that. Yes, you do. If you're a human, you do. I do, you do, we all do. I'm gonna be at the meeting at 8 and I show up at 8:01. So that is a breach of integrity. Now you could say that's no big deal. What are you, crazy? 1 minute? But you said 8 and you're here at 8:01. So that's different than what you said. So there's something that's not matching. And typically in modern corporations, that's just put in the closet. And then another one happens the next day or the next hour or the next minute, and then another one and then another one. And all of a sudden we find we've got a closet full of missing expectations of things that didn't match what we said. If you don't have your word, how is anybody going to follow you doing anything? So it's not about truth or honesty, and it's not about morals and it's not about ethics. So just take all that and have that. Those are related topics to integrity, and you can have that. That's for you and your own spiritual advisors and your own family. We're talking about integrity. Do what you say you will do. And if you don't, then clean up the mess. And we're only dealing with it in the context of business performance. We're not an ethics agency. We're not a morals agency. That's for, again, you and your personal life, not for us. But we do believe that if you keep your word and you have a mechanism for when you break your word, because you will break your word and so will the other people that you work with, you need a mechanism to clean it up. And that's really the center of the work. So you may say, what does that have to do with reliability? The reliability of the data, the integrity of the data, or the integrity of the bridge, the reliability of the bridge, the integrity of the brand, the reliability of the brand, the integrity of the person, the reliability of the person. We think they're extremely closely related. And so you're not probably going to make a great journey to reliability if there's huge gaps in integrity. In some places, I use the word huge, but if there's a closet full of them, I consider that huge.
Yep. It starts from the little and turns. That's why communication is so important.
And I can't control your integrity. I can only control mine. Kind of a thing. So that all I can do is take responsibility for mine. So that's why we want to empower people as leaders, because then if I assume a leadership role, no matter what my job role is, if I assume leadership, then I can lead change.
Clear. Now, let's gonna turn a little bit about personal. I know that you are a big Beatles fan. Let's say that we choose one song of the Beatles. Which one do you think could be the closest to asset management? A song that the Beatles have done, do you think is come together perhaps? Because the stakeholders need to be aligned. What song will that be?
I could probably relate every Beatles song to asset management. Let's see. Tell Me Why, because we start with why.
Yes.
Tell me why you lied. So there's an integrity one right there. Come together, because asset management is a team sport. twist and shout, because you're going to be doing a lot of twisting, and
I
other
like
people
that
be doing a lot
one.
of shouting. That could be. No, there's so many. I love the Beatles, and I love adding meaning to their lyrics and stuff too. So that's fun.
That's great. Do you play any instruments that the audience needs to know about?
Play
that?
guitar, play piano. Got a new grand piano. I'm really liking the sounds of it. I'm not that great, but I love the tones and the sounds, and I like singing with it. And those are the two instruments that I play.
Any hobbies?
I am a gardener now. Flowers, vegetables, and a big property. And so I'm really into that. I'm really learning the language of plants. I am right at the beginning. So you have tips for me on pruning fruit trees, and apple trees are different than peach trees. I have learned that now. If you have mulching tips, I'm into that, into mulching big time. Soil tips, I now have finally, after about 2 years, realized the whole key is the soil. I'll take any tips from the listening audience that I can get.
And let's relate them for a moment. What would be the metaphor between the garden and asset management?
Well, wow, because it's a life cycle. You have to, there are many, and it's not an instant gratification. It's a process to realize the fruits, the value. Right now, while I'm here, although I'm 99.9% focused on delivering the conference, I'm thinking about the tomatoes that are in my garden right now and wondering how they're surviving while I'm gone. I've been nurturing them. My tomato plants are at least a week ago, they were spectacular. That didn't come overnight. I started them from a seed in April, I think. And then I had to replant them, and then I had to get the weeds out, and then I've had to fertilize them, and I've had to water them, and I've had to do a minor pruning. I'm trying not to prune the tomatoes too much, but I'm having a lot of fun with that because it's a life cycle process, all the way from before seed, even planning the specification, which vegetables did I want, which fruits did I want, and then designing it, and then, where's the best place to buy the seeds, and where's the best place to plant the seeds. And so it's been a whole process. In fact, I wish I had a software program because I can't remember if I fertilized that tree last week, or does it need it next month, or that type of thing. So it's starting to get a little complex. Although I'm becoming a plant whisperer, I do need some way to track it a little bit better.
Thank you for your insights. I talk to you. I'm very honored that every time I get and I learn something from you. We will invite you next time. Meanwhile, thank you for watching us. Remember to follow us with subscription with the channel on the Asset Management Visionaries on YouTube, LinkedIn. Follow us and get ready for more interviews and insights. All the best to each of you. Thank you.